remove darkness and usher in light. Not just this, 7 horses also symbolize 7 colors of rainbow. Similarly, 7 engines of Gati Shakti, roads, railways, airports, ports, mass transport, waterways and logistics infrastructure usher in a new horizon of integrated and transformative approach for economic growth, sustainable development and full economy in unison. So these engines are complemented by energy transmission, IT, water and sewage and social infrastructure. So this coordinated approach with the reins of the horses firmly in the hands of Honorable Prime Minister, it will certainly drive the country to reach new horizons in development. So COVID has crippled every single economy and every single country of the world, and India is no exception. Right from US with 7.6 crore cases at top to Tonga and Micronesia at the bottom, left none and engulfed all. The resonance shown by every Indian under the leadership of beloved Prime Minister Shri Modi ji guided the country right through the pandemic, be it relating to vaccination or providing free food grains to poor and migrant labor by incurring more than 2.5 lakh crores, or providing impetus to every single sector, be it through Atmanirbhar package, monetary or fiscal measures, or COVID diplomacy. Sir, not a single country in the world, including the most developed country like US, has taken up supplying free food grains to poor on such mammoth scale as we did. So, Honorable Prime Minister, under Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, first, second, third, and fourth and fifth phase, has so far given more than 700 lakh metric tons and has incurred an expenditure of 2.65 lakh crores. I don't think such massive help to poor in the form of supplying food grains free of cost has ever happened in the history of independent India, and for that matter, in any country on the globe. So, Honorable Finance Minister deserves a compliment, since it is her ministry which pooled resources for this massive program. So, in parliamentary democracy, it is expected that opposition will do logical criticism which can become constructive and help in policy formulation. But what I found is that many of my learned members from the opposition, blinded by anti-Modiism, have preferred to take to illogical criticism which only lowers their credibility. What the members of the opposition fail to realize is that New India is not polemical slogan, but a concept with substance. There is visible paradigm shift under the leadership of Sri Narendra Modi ji, and this is reflected in the budget. The budget is a reflection of Sri Narendra Modi's vision, which is not only for India, but is emulated as a vision for many other developing countries. Sir, I see this budget aims to boost the growth and create employment by investing hugely on infrastructure and capital expenditure. So 48,000 crores given to completing the 80 lakh houses Prime Minister Awas Yojana, and spending hugely on social sector schemes and programs, without forgetting the security of the country, and one can see nearly 50,000 crores, increasing 5.25 lakh crores for defense, and compared to the last year's allocation of 4.78 crores, sir. So, Deputy Chairman, sir, with announcements made by Finance Minister on digital currency, we become the 9th country along with China, UAE, Nigeria, Hong Kong, Thailand, etc. to have our own digital currency. FM also made announcement of imposing 30% tax on digital assets. It means Indian crypto investor intending to transfer assets to exchanges in other countries or wallets, then he has to pay 30% tax in income accrued. Not just this, there is also an announcement that RBI will issue digital rupee using blockchain and other technologies from the coming financial year. These measures will revolutionize fintech. Honorable Prime Minister has also said that digital rupee will revolutionize the fintech sector by creating new opportunities and lessen the burn in handling, printing, logistics, and management of cash. So it has been observed in recent past, particularly during IPL and T20 World Cup matches, unabated advertisement by crypto players, bombarding people on all platforms and prompting and provoking them to invest in spite of the fact that cryptocurrency is unregulated digital currency and not a legal tender. Not just this, some crypto exchanges have also started podcasts and other collaborations to attract investment on their exchanges. Popular film stars and celebrities promoting cryptocurrency trading will definitely influence the mindset of Indians and thinking that all is well with cryptocurrency. And cleverly, all advertisements just mentioned a thin line at the end. Cryptocurrency is an unregulated digital currency, not a legal tender, and subject to market risk. And nobody can see this, sir. So, hence I compliment Honorable Finance Minister for starting to regulate crypto assets, having their own digital currency and banking transactions. I also request Honorable Prime Minister and the Finance Minister to regulate misleading advertisements on cryptocurrency and direct them to give clear picture of implications of investment in crypto assets. I'll take only one more minute, sir. Sir, opposition has been making fun of Make in India. Sir, what is Make in India? What is wrong in Make in India? And why should anybody object to that? Is a sin to become self-sufficient? Do you want India to be in the position to ship to mouth? Do you want to depend on foreign countries for our defense requirements? We were depending on other countries even for nuts and bolts for our defense equipment. What is wrong in becoming Atmanirbhar in defense so that we don't become parasite of our defense needs? It is with this very objective, Honorable Finance Minister has given push to domestic defense industry. This government never in the history of independent India has earmarked 68% of capital procurement. Budget of armed forces earmarked for domestic industry. The result is we rapidly become Atmanirbhar, and this propels economic activity and provides employment opportunities. Defense R&D is open for private sector startups, helping private sector to work with DRDO and other defense institutions. Sir, all sectors which help our economy to grow stronger have been given more importance, and allocations have been made accordingly. The budget, as I mentioned earlier, sir, is people-friendly, progressive, and futuristic. Only our learned friends from opposition should view this with open mind and not with anti-Modi mania. And this will certainly appreciate the intrinsic value and principles in the growth-oriented budget. With these submissions, sir, I once again extend my compliments and greetings to the Honorable Finance Minister for presenting a budget which aims to transform the country and drive smoothly in Amrit Kal to become a force to reckon with in the Committee of Nations. Thank you very much, sir.
धन्यवाद माननीय सदस्यगण. Now the discussion on General Budget 2022-23 is over. लगभग 42 सदस्यों ने बोला. अब माननीय Finance Minister will reply. Please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to respond on the discussion which has been held here, sir. I thank all the participant members who have gotten into good details of the budget, sought clarification, also critically described what has come through in the budget. But I'll take this opportunity to highlight some of the features and also very clearly speak about why this budget has prioritized on some things whilst explaining the doubts that the members have expressed. So we went in for a budget which would stand for continuity, which will be bringing in stability to the economy and predictability in taxation, and also a vision for India at 100. So the continuity point which is very critical at a stage when the economy is coming out of the pandemic, focused on growth. The last budget also, we had focused on growth because that's how we could get people out of the difficult situation that we had gone into because of the pandemic. And that growth focus continues in this budget as well. One other thing which continues with the growth focus is in order to attain the growth, we wanted to undertake public expenditure in building infrastructure for a modern India, 21st century India, and an India which is going towards India at 100. So there was a philosophy or a guiding principle of PM Gati Shakti, which was put in as one of the ways in which the infrastructure spending from the public hands would be guided. That guidance which comes from the PM Gati Shakti was essentially because we needed to bring in greater synergy. We wanted to bring in greater complementarity between the various infrastructure spending that we are undertaking, because it's not to say that the infrastructure spending has never happened in this country. It has happened. But what we find over the decades, that each project by itself, standalone in its nature, hadn't given the benefit or the multiplier which such an investment should have given us. So you brought in a manufacturing zone, or you built a road somewhere, a highway somewhere, but unfortunately the synergy which had to come through hadn't come through, or partly came through, but actually maximization was not possible. And therefore we thought, if there is a greater synergy between all these public expended infrastructure projects that are being created, it should be to the point of maximizing the outcome of such infrastructure which is getting built, at least in the forthcoming 25 years, the Amrit Kal that we talk about, leading India towards 100. And therefore the Gati Shakti guiding us for building infrastructure all across the country, being the focus and the continuity from last year on infra as an instrument for giving the stimulus to the economy. So I said the budget aims at continuity. The continuity is in giving the stimulus through public expenditure. We also wanted to underline the stability and sustainable recovery that we so need now. At a time when the economy has to grow and grow at a good pace, it is important for the economy also to be stabilized. The sustainable growth is what is going to ensure that India remains on the top, and unless that level of growth is maintained, we are not going to be having the trickle-down effect of the economy and the benefits of the economy reaching the poorest of the poor. So stable and sustainable recovery was one of the important motives and objectives of this budget, for having been drawn it the way we have drawn it. Policy prescription for it had already been given in the last budget. Again, the continuity principle guides us even in that, so that disinvestment or privatization or ease of doing business, and also adapting technology in all our fields of governance, whether it is digital, getting good access to the remote areas, whether it is digital related to financial inclusion, whether it is digital inclusion for the sake of medical and health facilities, and digital for also education. So that technology and digital adaptation are also the instruments through which we want to work during this Amrit Kal, so that India at 100 would have the lead advantage which many countries are just starting to do. We would be leading in that field of digital technology and technology adaptation, leading to better transparency in governance and accountability also. These are two very important, other than the fact that it is easing common man's financial inclusion process or education or health related matters. It also shows in a very transparent manner how governance takes place in this country. So technology for the sake of all these benefits are also being prioritized in this budget. One example of that is bringing in drone as a instrument or as a very effective tool for improving and modernizing India's agriculture. Now, when you bring in drone, it has got several adaptations. Some members, Amar Patnaik and others, spoke about what are we doing about agriculture. By bringing in drone, we are able to bring in efficiencies in the use of fertilizers, in the use of pesticides, and also making a good technology-driven assessment of the crop density, and also possibly predicting the output, the size of the output. Also to get the contours of the field and so on. The drone technology today also has the potential for our rural youth to get into this field, for which we have given a training, skilling program, which will run for a few years, when people can become adept at using drone technology, so that our agriculture can benefit from such a development. Startups are being encouraged. We saw that nowhere else in the globe, the robust way in which startups are coming out in this country. Nearly 45 of them have now come between 2021 as unicorns. They've benefited because access to funds are made easy in India. India's own funds, PE funds and VCs, are now able to support them, and therefore a lot of youth who believe in innovation, who have ideas, who can create employment, who are able to give instant solutions for our legacy problems, whether it is housing, whether it is laying of roads, whether in storage of grains, such critical ideas with which they are now contributing to the economy and bringing in a newer signature to the Indian economy are being supported in this budget as well as last, and the last year's support to the startups have shown tangible results for all of us to see. And in that sense, even this budget therefore also announces a committee, high-level committee to be formed for understanding how best we can have more resources within India through the PEs and also venture capital funds for enabling more such funding of startups and other business ventures, which will be for our own youth, for our own monies, and for our own economy to speed up in terms of achieving higher growth. So the budget, sir, actually speaks of stability. It continues some of the policies of last year, and that policy will guide us towards next 25 years. We will see modern infrastructure. I didn't think I said anything which is going to amuse any one of us, sir. India's 25 years, the coming 25 years are going to be important. No wonder we are calling it as Amritkal. And these 25 years, if there is no vision...
Please.
If we do not have a vision for India at 100, sir, we will suffer similarly as was the first 70 years when 65 years were with the Congress, which had no vision except for supporting, building and benefiting one family. Except for that, there was no vision in this country.
Please.
Sir.
Please,
so I'll come about what Kal it is, sir. It is Amritkal, but I'll also explain a bit on it a bit later. If only our opposition members have a bit more patience, I'll make it interesting for them on that also. Sir, I had mentioned this earlier and I'd like to recall it again. The kind of hit that the Indian economy took because of a global pandemic was not just for India, but for everybody else. Every other country suffered, but India suffered very much more, no doubt. And I would just very quickly recall that in 72-73, we had a 0.6% contraction in our economy due to the oil crisis, global oil crisis. 79-80, we had a 5.2% reduction, and that is also because of a war, Iran-Iraq war. Now, 2008-9 was the global financial crisis, as a result of which there was again a contraction. The latest one, which is 2021, contraction, but by minus 6.6, is one of the biggest contraction Indian economy has had to go through. And there is no memory or there is no comparison between this kind of a contraction or anything else which happened earlier. So I may not be even able to give a comparable situation and say, how was it then and how is it now? However, the recent global financial crisis, which is a very important milestone for India, as I read out, 4 important big global crisis-triggered contraction in the Indian economy. The latest one is the 2008-9, other than the one in which we are just about to come out. That time, I just want to highlight the fact, the contraction was only to the extent of 2.12 lakh crores. Contraction was only that much. It was a reduced gain, if I can be more accurate. Whereas now, the contraction is very big. 9.57 lakh crores is what is the loss in GDP that we had to suffer because of this pandemic. So, this crisis is a big one. The loss to the GDP is much higher, whereas the loss to the GDP in 2008-9 was only to the extent of 2.12 lakh crores. But in spite of this, supply side disruptions, India's CPI inflation now is at only 6.2%. I want to just highlight the fact that India's, the inflation, CPI, which is what is used for assessing the Mehengai, as we say in Hindi, is at 6.2, whereas for a smaller contraction during the global financial crisis of only 2.12 reduction in gain, not a negative growth in that sense, reduction in gain. What was the CPI inflation then, sir, in 2008-9?
Please.
Sorry?
Please.
Sorry?
Please.
Because you're saying it, I'd rather benefit from your comment.
Please, आप सुनो. Please, आप.
Thank you.
Please. Please.
Thank you, Anand Sharma ji. Thank you very much. So, sir, for a reduction in gain of 2.12 lakh crores, the CPI inflation of that time was 9.1%, meaning inflation was at 9.1%, the CPI, for a reduction of only 2.12 lakh crores, which is big enough. Global financial crisis hit us. That was the reduction in gain. Whereas the pandemic hit us and the loss to the GDP was 9.57%, and our management of the inflation is that it is only 6.2%. I want to highlight this for the benefit of all our opposition respected members who periodically say, look at the inflation, look at the inflation. I want to say, lesser crisis, you couldn't handle the inflation. You led it to 9.1. We are taking care of it, and it is remaining at 6.1% only. And I agree, there are instances where we need to work more to get more pulses in the ground, more edible oils in the ground. We are working on it. But a smaller crisis you couldn't handle with very experienced finance ministers. And I was mocked at saying, would you know anything at all? Leave me. Prime Minister Modi's consideration on how the economy should be, because he's an experienced chief minister and handled the entire affair at his own personal guidance. All of us have been working. So this is the result, sir, of only 6.1 now, whereas 9.1 for a smaller, relatively smaller problem.
Please, Mr. John.
I've admitted about that, John Birtas ji.
Please.
We know that ground level, if we need to do more, we shall be doing more. And thank you for reminding me that I have to go to the market. All right? Sir.
Please, John Birtas.
I want to highlight the fact that we chose to go through public expenditure on infrastructure building. Multiplier effect is what guided us on it. And I've said this before, revenue expenditure does not give you the required multiplier. Revenue expenditure of every 1 rupee gives you just 45 paisa worth of multiplier, and that too for that immediate specific period. Whereas for one period later, it gives us another additional 10 paisa more. So spending money through revenue does not give you the required multiplier, and the required multiplier being high is what is very critical for us now, because the economy has to revive and revive in a sustainable manner. Otherwise it will have drops and rises. So we are doing that. So we chose not to go through the revenue expenditure route. So what does the capital expenditure give us? For every 1 rupee spent on capex, you get 2 rupees 45 paisa worth of multiplier in the immediate specific period, and for 1 period later, you get nearly 3 rupees 14 paisa worth off. That is, over time, you get 3 rupees 14 paisa worth of multiplier. It is a clear distinction between what gives you better multiplier, and therefore whether you want to go through the revenue route or whether you want to go through the capital route is so obviously before us, and therefore to sustain the growth we have to choose spending through public capital expenditure. And that is why the money which is being given from 5.51 lakh crores, 5.54 lakh crores, we've gone to 7.50 lakh crores in this budget for capital expenditure for building infrastructure. So there was a small discussion on the figures given by the economic survey being very different from what it is in the government's budget speech. So it was raised, saying as an issue, the 8% number which has been given versus the 11% number, both nominal, the real being 8 and 11 being nominal, figures are given, and which is to be believed. Former Finance Minister, speaking about it in this House, said which one has got to be believed. I just want to highlight, sir, and I'm very grateful indeed to Dr. Narendra Jadhav, who pointedly went down to explain why that difference is there and what that difference explains for itself. And therefore, with that explanation already being given, I'm not getting into the details of it, but for the former finance minister to raise it as though there is something misleading is very disappointing. Because economic survey draws its source of information from one particular set of data. The government looks at advance estimates which come just before the budget and uses that data. And the advance estimate, it is true, could not take or could not imagine Omicron setting in. We have taken that also and factored it into the budget. And as a result, there are numbers which are slightly at variance with one another. So sources of calculation being different, obviously you will get numbers which to believe. And I'm sure in his tenure too.
Please. Media Viskanti, no,
sure.
not allowed. Not allowed. Please, no. Please, you continue your speech. No. Please, back up, piche na bole. Please.
Oh, thank you. That's very interesting. That's right.
He woke up just now.
So therefore, sir, the sources of data being different and also largely in the range of the numbers that all of us are talking about does not cause any sense of worry. And I'm sure economic surveys were prepared during his term as finance minister as well. And I don't think a dicto copy between finance ministry and economic survey, which is at an arm's distance, should also be aspired for. Opinions in economy do come from different sources. So long as they are diametrically not different, I think for us to raise doubts about its credibility is only attempting to mislead. So I leave it there. Sir, there were quite a number of members who spoke about various issues. I've clubbed them together on the head of the issue rather than by each member to go and answer every one of the questions. But I've grouped it all together. Like, for instance, on unemployment. Many members spoke. Sri Ajit Kumar Bhuyan spoke. Sanjay Singh from Aam Aadmi Party spoke. Elamaram Karimji spoke of CPM. Srimati Kanimori from DMK spoke. Dola Senghji spoke from TMC. Kapil Sibalji spoke. A.D. Singhji spoke. Former Finance Minister Chidambaramji spoke. So I've grouped it all together to address the issue of, say, unemployment, so that I can speak about it. So the budget mentioned about different categories under which some employment is being created here, some somewhere else. But one big number which easily people picked it up and said that is the number, that is all that you're going to create. 60 lakhs is all that you're going to create. Sorry, I think what got missed out in that is PLI, which is being now given for 14 sectors. We are describing each PLI scheme which is being given for different sectors, and this one where we spoke about PLI, for the PLI-driven exercises, we said a 60 lakh number. That doesn't end the story there. There are various other steps that the government is taking aiming at improving employment. And I very clearly did also speak in a bit of an elaboration about how drones are also going to generate more employment in the rural area. It's actually showing results in many of the districts where it has already been adopted. So when also we are spending so much on infrastructure building, that cannot be without employment. Even that is going to be 7.5 lakh crores being spent for building public infrastructure is also going to be because there will be employment generated there. So the latest periodic labor force survey indicates that urban unemployment rate in January to March quarter of 21-22 has declined to pre-pandemic level of 9% after peaking at 20.8% of unemployment. It peaked there, but now it's already come down. It's being established by this periodic labor force survey pertaining to the first quarter, January-March quarter of 21-22. So, unemployment issue is being addressed and unemployment numbers are coming down. November 2021, sir, saw a net addition, not just addition alone, forgetting the dropouts, net addition in the EPFO subscription to peaking at 13.9 lakh new subscribers, an increase of 109.21% over the previous year. And this is the highest ever achieved in, since 2017. So unemployment issue is got to be seen from the various different sources of information and sector-related information that we are getting. We shouldn't rush to think that 60 lakh crore which was given, 60 lakh which was given is all the jobs that has been created. Capital expenditure, I think I've partly explained. The issue of GDP number and the growth rate number being different, I've explained, which was also being raised by several members. Sir, there was this question on increased allocation to Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, claiming that that increase is purely for the sake of Central Vista. I just want to explain it, sir. Mahua's allocation, Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry's allocation has been increased from 54,581 crores in the BE of 21-22 to 76,549 crores in 22-23. The increase is mainly on account of increased allocation in PM Awas Yojana Urban, enhanced from 8,000 crores to 28,000 crores, and not because of Central Vista. I just want to explain that. I think Honorable Member Chaya Verma had raised it. Honorable Member Jawahar Sirkar had raised it. Sir, again questions about Manrega. People who claim that Manrega is their own program and how can we not attribute it to them. I want to say yes, there was. Manrega was designed, Manrega was passed, and Manrega was an act because of them. Very well. But I also would like to equally say Manrega's misuse was also due to them. CAG was also talking about misuse, and Manrega was infested. Manrega was infested with ghost accounts. People who did not exist were receiving money under Manrega.
Mr.
People who were not born were also...
Nothing is going on record your speech except Madam's speech. Please. Please, बैठ जाइए. बैठ जाइए, बैठ जाइए. बैठ जाइए.
Thank you, sir. Manrega was infested with ghost accounts, I repeat. Manrega had people whose names were written in who were not even born yet in this earth. So these were people who were receiving Manrega money. That's also to their credit, sir. So I will not hesitate to give credit where it is due, but take it all fully. Take the entire credit for the misuse of Manrega. Don't just take the name.
प्लीज
So, sir.
आपकी कोई बात रिकॉर्ड पे आप सबकी नहीं जा रही है. प्लीज सीट पर बैठ कर ना बोलें.
So, sir.
प्लीज.
Sir, I just want to highlight Manrega is a demand-driven program. As and when there is demand. And also, sir, let's not forget, Manrega, even as it was born, was to provide that rural employment in lean seasons. Jairam Rameshji is here, who actually has spent a lot of time looking at Manrega, looking at rural development, and he'll vouch for this. Manrega was going to have to serve the rural unemployed, particularly in the lean season of agriculture. When agriculture activities are at its peak, it was safely assumed people will find jobs in the agricultural activity. And particularly in the drought-prone areas, when agricultural activity, unfortunately because of climatic and other has become only annually one couple of months in an entire year of 12 months, it had confined itself to only those, rain-fed 3-4 months, 5 months, and so on. The rest of the year, people were remaining unemployed, and therefore this was brought in to bring in succor. And in that, therefore, whenever demand was going to come up, it was to be funded. That's exactly what we are doing. And therefore, to think that if you had not put it at the BE stage itself, and then you let them suffer, is entirely wrong. BE stage, we gave the money, and just see what happened during 2020-21, sir. The total monies given for Manrega crossed 1,11,000 crores. It was given by us. Therefore, it's one thing to create a scheme, it's one thing to misuse a scheme, whereas what we do now is create and use it properly and transparently. So, BE 73,000 crores is being given now with an understanding which all of us know that if the demand rises, we'll provide more through the supplementary demand for grants. So on Manrega, I think people who know it, people who want to have the claim for it, should not mislead by saying you're not giving anything now. We are given 73,000, and they know when the demand comes, we are bound to give, or else they are here to question me.
आप में से किसी की बात बैठकर जो बोल रहे हैं रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है, अननेसेसरली आप हल्ला कर रहे हैं. प्लीज 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 लेट हर स्पीक. माननीय लोपी, प्लीज प्लीज बैठकर ना बोले. कोई बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही, आप हाउस डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हैं. प्लीज
सर,
शी इज नॉट कंसिडरिंग. लेट हर फिनिश. आई विल गिव यू.
सर,
if she is considering, please, point of order here.
38. And kindly look at to the unparliamentary expression, book page 272.
That we will see.
I'm showing you, then I will leave it to you. I'm in your hands.
Yeah, please.
First, Rule 238.
38, yes.
Now, Rule 238, rules to be observed while speaking. Now kindly look at Roman 7.
238, Roman 7. Yes.
Under reasonable, seditious or defamative words.
Right.
Now, Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir, kindly look at the unparliamentary words. Page 272. Time and again, First Honorable Minister has said that former finance minister was misleading the House. Now again, Honorable Minister is saying the members speaking on Manrega misleading the House. Now, Honorable Sir, kindly see, not once but many times It is said it's an unparliamentary word.
We'll
It's a
examine, Mr.
misleading.
Secretary Singh Goyal. You will examine it. We'll examine it. Thank you. Yes.
I wish
Please, we'll examine.
your honor may give me ruling on this.
We'll examine it and we'll
I
come
oblige.
back.
Irrelevant बात. Rule 240 is very clear. किसी भी सदस्य को irrelevant बात नहीं करनी चाहिए. जो Rule 238 है, उसका जो Section 5 है, वो person in high constitutional authority है. Former minister कोई high authority पे नहीं है. वो उसका explanation है. तो rule ही गलत उठा रहे irrelevant.
माननीय सदस्य, प्लीज माननीय सदस्यगण, चेयर बार बार आप सबसे आग्रह करता है कि आप सब रूल्स को फॉलो करें, सभी लोग रूल्स को फॉलो करें. प्लीज माननीय मैडम, प्लीज माननीय मैडम.
Sir, allocation to health sector, sir. Questions were raised. Rajamani Patel ji, Kanimuri ji, Kapil Sibal ji, Amar Patnaik ji all questioned whether health sector is getting adequate funds. I'll just very quickly give you a picture. 2019-20, we had given 64,000 crores. In 2021, 80,000, 26 crores, 85,950 in the RE. That 80,000 became 85,915 in the RE of 21-22, the year that we are in, which we'll finish on 31st March. And 22-23, the budget which is before this House gives 86,606 crores, sir. So it's going up and not coming down. Then there are issues, there are points which are also got to be drawn attention of this House. Expenditure on COVID-related health preparedness has received 12,000 crore in 2020-21, more than 15,000 crore in 22-23. So for preparedness, we have given that money as well. So allocation for Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which was 64,000, has gone to 86,606. So I don't think we should, think that it has come down. It is a 35% increase. Over and above that, 22-23 in the BU, one point that I would want to highlight, 5,846 crore, particularly for the references that Sri Amar Patnaik ji made, 5,846 crore has been allocated under PM Abhim, Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission scheme, which is going to develop capacities in health systems and institutions for responding effectively to the current pandemic, and God forbid if there is any future pandemic as well. So, sir, the other issue about food subsidy and fertilizer subsidy. Quite a few members spoke about it. I just want to quickly give a picture. Fertilizer subsidy, sir. BE of 21-22, we gave 79,530 crores. In the RE of 21-22, this amount was increased to 1.4 lakh crores, representing an increase of over 75% between the RE and BE itself, BE and RE itself in the current year. And that is because, as you know, global fertilizer prices have gone up. Government of India imports a large quantity of our fertilizers, and in this case, in spite of the prices have gone up so much, we still imported it, and we have no choice but to import it. But we made sure that that increased global price of fertilizers are not shifted on to the farmers. The government has borne that cost, and the farmers have got fertilizers, as always, at the price at which they bought last year or the year before. So that shows that the government has been receptive to developments outside and understanding the issues here in the ground. Sir, food subsidy allocation, PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, and I also want to highlight the allocation for food subsidy is 2.86 lakh crores. This is higher because, and I'm talking about 21-22, the year that we are about to finish. This is higher because under the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which is around 1 lakh crore additional allocations had been made for food subsidy. Food subsidy allocation for this year, 22-23, is 2.07 lakh crores, which is the best estimate of requirement at this point in time. So it's still higher. The food subsidy is well over 2 lakh crores. Sir, doubling of farmers' income also has been an issue on which several members, Srimati Chaya Verma, Jose K. Mani, Rajamani Patel ji, Syed Nazir Hussain ji, Amar Patnaik ji have all voiced their concern, and I can fully understand. In 2013-14, sir, the expenditure of Department of Agriculture and Cooperation was only about 19,000 crores, 13-14. Whereas this has been increased 6.6 times, and today it is at 1.24 lakh crores, 22-23 for Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Out of this, 68,000 crores will be transferred in DBT mode to the bank accounts of farmers, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Yojana. Just to make this a bit more elaborately, BE 21-22 for fertilizer subsidy was 79,530. In RE, it became 1.4 lakh crores, which represents 75% increase. And the fertilizer subsidy this year is also being increased. There was also farmer producer organizations. 10,000 are being funded. The FPOs are being formed. Agri Infrastructure Fund, the AIF, has 100,000 crores being created for the creation of agriculture fund, infrastructure fund. We have given the money. Sir, if we are giving the data, sir, it is because the questions have been asked. One more important question on how we supported the MSME. MSME sector was a concern for member Suresh Reddy and also member A.D. Singh ji. I just want to highlight the points through which you'll, Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir, you will understand that for MSMEs, there have been several schemes which have been brought out, and that is because during the COVID pandemic, we needed to give that support. 20,000 crore subordinate debt for MSMEs, 3 lakh crore collateral-free automatic loans for business, including MSMEs, which has now been enhanced to 4.5 lakh crore. And now, during this budget, we have given 50,000 crore more, raising it to 5 lakh crores. 50,000 crore equity infusion through MSME Self-Reliant India Fund. Then, from among these schemes, monies have also been dispersed and people have benefited from it. Whatever is left over in these accounts will continue to remain ready for anyone who wants to use it. So I just want to highlight that the amount of disbursements made under the Emergency Credit Guarantee Scheme is 2.36 lakh crores disbursed, gone into the account of those MSME who need it. So there are quite a few such clarifications which I can go on giving, but I'll also pick up on issues which specific speakers have mentioned. Sir, quoting some study, because I'm moving from MSME, I continue with MSME, quoting a study which is made available in the public domain, it was mentioned that based on a study in 2020-21, it was mentioned that 67% of MSMEs were shut. But what they have failed to say from that very same study is they failed to mention that the very same study said 67% of MSMEs were temporarily shut. Again, an attempt to mislead. You say 67% of all the MSMEs were shut based on a study. I've gone through the study. I'll quote the study. I'll show it to you. I'll place it on the table. That very study says they were temporarily shut. Obviously, if the lockdown is in, won't they shut? And that is what was covered by the survey and reported. But at least use the word appropriately. It was temporary. Okay, sir?
Please.
And because ECLGS was extended, many of them have taken the credit facility which was given, and as a result, they are staying afloat even today. The FBI study shows that how many people have benefited by that ECLGS. So we need to highlight, please bring in reports, but say it completely and not cherry pick the words to give a different impression from what actually that study gives you as an impression.
Please.
Sir, according to the study,
Please. She is quoting the report.
I am quoting the very same report's honorable leader of opposition. According to the study, about 65% of the MSME surveyed availed credit under the government's emergency credit guarantee scheme, which provided banks and financial institutions 100% guarantee against any losses suffered by them due to the non-repayment of these. So, let us understand.
Please.
We can play ball on that. Sir. Sir, in the last 2 years, it's not been business as usual. Every one of us know. It has not been business as usual. Extraordinary steps had to be taken. And when we are quoting reports, we need to come with a complete detail before us. The State Bank of India study also shows how many people, how many MSMEs have benefited from the emergency credit guarantee which was given. I'll just take the example once, sir. Comparing a large economy like US may not be appropriate, but I will give an instance of how things develop when there is a global pandemic. In the US, sir, at the onset of the pandemic, 1,40,104 units were marked temporarily closed. Of these, more than 97,966 businesses have permanently shut down during the pandemic, according to a report on the local economic impact of the pandemic in the US. Now, I just want to say, I'm not...
Please, बैठ Please, बैठ करना. Please. There is a process for that, madam. You are not allowed to speak. There is a process for that if there is any mistake. Please.
Deputy Chairman, sir,
Nothing is going on record.
Honorable Member Ami Yagnik ji is saying correct information should come. I will definitely give that about economies which gave cash transfer, which had huge stimulus packages as to what happened to them. I will certainly give the details in a minute. I wish her to be kindly patient about it. I will give that information. Sir, about inflation, I think I did say a bit. But I just want to again compare Indian economic situation, which I did earlier about 2008 global financial crisis, what happened in India and what is happening now. But I also will give a comparison between what's happening in other economies and what's happening in India. Sir, economies all over the world suffered, but I just want to say US inflation, which was reported in all the papers today, has hit 40-year highest. US inflation, cash transfers was made, huge stimulus packages were given. This is the effect. Sir, and I'll give you more data on that. So, US inflation has gone...
Please.
I mean, we are giving answers, sir. No point. There are times when it is difficult to gulp some facts, but we'll have to take it. US inflation, I told you, sir.
पीछे बैठ कर ना बोले, पीछे बैठकर सीट पर, you not
Sir, this
supposed
is
to
beyond
speak.
belief,
Please,
sir.
there is a process for that, madam. There is a process for. No, no. Please, you are not allowed to speak. Please.
Thank you very much. Sir, in Germany, sir, since 1992, they have not faced an inflation of the order that they are facing today. Economies which are having better cash transfer, better solutions, better stimulus. I just want to, no country is comparable with another. Every country has its own uniqueness. But all that said, there are always the allegations that you've not done enough. You've not done enough the way I want you to do. All that comes. But I need to address that, sir. So, Germany, from 1992, has never had an inflation like this. Eurozone, sir, 25 years. In 25 years, they have not seen an inflation the way they are seeing. And UK, where also a big stimulus was given, never seen inflation in the last 30 years like the inflation that they are seeing now. So inflation management and carefully allotting your, resources is also very important for a responsible job for finance ministries all over the world to do it. Sir, I just want to highlight, respected leader of the opposition is not here, probably he'll come back, but I just want to highlight, sir, WPI inflation is no longer the benchmark metric for measuring inflation. Quoting WPI, saying, oh, it's already gone to 14, 12, 11. No, sir, WPI doesn't influence inflation metric. So CPI is what we have to look at for, and CPI is that index which RBI also looks at when it is monitoring inflation control measures. That's only for reference, sir. Sir, since 2014, Prime Minister Modi has ensured that we keep our inflation contained, well contained, and not cross 6% or more. And this crossing of 6% has happened, no doubt. But we breached it a little bit, maybe between 2014 and 2020, maybe 6 times on a monthly average that you're looking at, and not beyond that. It's every time brought back to, being within the limits of 6%. So our inflation management is robust, is what I want to underline here. So, but at the same time, again, may not be nice for me to repeat because nobody is going to like me saying it, and since I have to be in this house to say things which others like as well, but I will have to say things which are not going to be music to some people's ear. Highest inflation, if ever, or the worst era of inflation, if ever, this country endured, it is from 2010 to 2014, when retail inflation was more than 9% in 22 out of the 28 months, from January 2012 to April 14. 22 months out of the 28 months, between January 12 and April 14, inflation was well over 9%. So let us also keep that context somewhere in the back of our minds. Sir, there were quite a lot of questions on disinvestment. Are you going to sell off everything? What is happening, particularly insurance sector? So here I want to humbly submit. For instance, Malhotra Committee was formed during 1991, 92, 93 कार्यकाल, Congress period. And the recommendations of the Malhotra Committee is something which Congress keeps in its mind and started doing quite a lot of things to ensure that there are private players who should be included in the insurance sector. Recommendation of the Malhotra Committee. Foreign companies should be allowed to enter into insurance sector. Malhotra Committee. There should also be a IRDA which is instituted already. They are guiding every one of the operations. So, following the recommendations, which of course was a Congress party time committee for privatization of insurance sector. Today, there is a bit of a confusion in the Congress side. I want to highlight that. on the one hand, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to take the name, a former president of the Congress party says India is against privatization. You know who it is, former president, currently Lok Sabha member. India is against privatization, he says. On the other hand, I have senior Congress leader, former finance minister, questioning me, why are you going slow on this investment? Tell us the progress in disinvestment in BPCL, Container Corporation of India, 2 banks. You have not said anything in this budget. I want to ask the Congress party, is it one thing outside? Is it one thing in Lok Sabha? Is it a third thing in this house? Be clear. Do you want it or not? And you started with the Malhotra committee, and you take claim for 1991. When you want to ask a question of us, you say, hey, remember.
बैठ जाइए, कोई बात नहीं. बैठ जाइए.
Sir, also distorting and quoting, sir.
आपकी कोई बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है. आपको जो मौका था आपने बोला लेटर स्पीक. नो, नॉट अलाउड. मिस्टर मिनिस्टर, आप में से किसी की बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है. मैडम की स्पीच जा रही है, बस प्लीज.
Deputy Chairman, sir.
No permission. You have already spoken on the subject. No.
Sir, thank
Madam,
you, sir.
please speak.
What explains?
Please. You are not allowed to speak, Mr. Brites. Please.
What explains 1.07 lakh crore worth of disinvestment that happened during UPA? What explains that? 1.07 lakh crores worth of disinvestment happened during the UPA. Was that, if they were against disinvestment, why did they allow that to happen, sir? Just one line, sir. Disinvestment is a complex process. We are...
Please, sit here. You are not allowed, Mr. Binay Vishwam. Please.
Sir, Honorable Binay Vishwamji.
Please.
I just want to respond, sir. Honorable Binay Vishwamji is somebody who I respect. He's a very senior member. Also has ideologically very committed. I appreciate that. Just as we are ideologically very committed, just as there are very many people ideologically committed. Where do you stand? I thought the budget of 2021 very clearly narrated where do we stand. Jansang narrated where we stand. Bharatiya Janata Party under Vajpayee ji narrated where we stand. Our election manifestos say where we stand. And us fulfilling the manifestos say where we stand. So Binay Vishwamji, honorable member, does not need to ask that question. Every budget which has been given under Vajpayee ji, every budget which has been given under Modi ji in 14-19, every budget which is being given now, every manifesto of the BJP clearly states where we stand. So not to worry, we never contradict ourselves. Sir?
Please.
Sir?
Please. Mr. Binay Vishwamji, please. Mr. Binay Vishwamji, आप Binay Vishwamji, do not disturb. Let discussion go. आप बोल चुके हैं अपने विषय पर जब मौका था. Please, let her allow it. आप सब बोल चुके हैं जब मौका मिला. 42 लोगों ने बोला है. Let her speak. Please.
Sir, again, as a lead speaker, I heard former finance minister say that you're not moving forward. You're only, like as though you're on a treadmill. You're only, running but remaining where you are. It was mentioned. I just want to show, sir, that if we were remaining where we are and pretending to run, economy 7 or 8 years ago, the size of the GDP was 1.1 lakh crore then. Now it is sorry, 2.3 lakh crores. It can't be when you are running on the same spot. I'm being corrected, it is 2.32 lakh crores. I said 2.32 lakh crores. Exports, then 2.85 lakh crores, that is 13-14. Today, it is at 4.7 lakh crores. The Commerce Minister, Leader of the House is here. So you can't be standing in one place running and also pretending to move forward. Last 2 years were years of the pandemic. If that was said, unfortunately, somebody is repeating it here. They were not normal years. Same if that was said. Sir, foreign exchange reserves. Foreign exchange reserves, sir. Then, 2013-14. $275 billion then, 7 years ago. Now, it is $630 billion. Not running as we are standing in one place. FDI inflows, $36 billion then. Now it is $80 billion. Again, sir, can't be running on a treadmill. Sir, national highway length. Very important metric for development. 90,000 kilometers in 2014. Today, it is 140,000 kilometers. Again, no treadmill business, sir. And average inflation, 9.5% in 13-14. Now it is 5.23% in 21-22. I'm talking of April-December. April-December. So, then international metrics is something which I want to draw the attention of honorable members. Ease of doing business. In 2014, we were 142. Now we are 63. Access to electricity, then 99th rank, today 26th rank. Global competitiveness, 71st rank in 2014-15, 43rd rank now. Global Innovation Index, 76th rank in 2014, 46th rank in 2021. Logistics Performance Index, 54 in 2014, 44 now. So all these metrics show that we are not running, standing there.
Please.
Sir, one more reference, sir.
Please.
One more reference to the Honorable former Finance Minister. He accused me, saying you did not speak anything about the poor. You have not at all spoken. You spoke more about your Prime Minister. Of course, I feel very proud. I feel honored to be in the ministry along with the other ministers who are guided by the Prime Minister, a Prime Minister who is visionary. I don't have anything to hide that. I will say it any number of times. He's the Prime Minister of this country. In every popularity ratings, he's at the top. But our country, there are some people who suffer from visceral hatred of the Prime Minister, but that's their problem. I will say one thing here, sir. I didn't speak about the poor as an allegation. I want to know, what is that poor that you're talking about? When again, your former president said, poverty does not mean, and I'm quoting here, sir, poverty does not mean the scarcity of food, money, or material things. If one possesses self-confidence, then one can overcome it, said the Congress leader. So, he also said it's a state of mind. I've not named the person, but we know who it is. So, to continue the quotation, sir, if you want, I'll leave it here. This is also reported in the media. Poverty is just a state of mind. It does not mean scarcity of food, money, or material things. If one possesses self-confidence, then one can overcome poverty. Was the gyan given to us? I want to ask, what is that poverty that I didn't refer? Is this the poverty? My mental state is the poverty that I should have referred? I want to ask. Be clear on what poverty you are referring to. Sir, I just want to respond.
आप सभी सदस्यों से आग्रह सीट पर बैठकर ना बोले प्लीज. आपकी बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है. यू आर नॉट अलाउड. प्रियंका जी, यू आर
I'm
नॉट
not
अलाउड टू
mocking
स्पीक.
the poor. The person who mocks the poor is in alliance with you now.
प्लीज आपस में
Is
बात
in
ना
alliance
करें.
with you now. Sir, it's
मैडम,
very bad.
फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर की बात के अलावा कोई और बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है.
I will, sir.
आप प्लीज बैठ जाए.
Deputy Chairman, sir.
बैठ जाए. आप सब बोल चुके हैं. प्लीज बैठ जाए.
Deputy Chairman, sir.
Please.
This is how.
Please.
This is how. When we don't have the courage. This is how. When we don't have the courage to ask the person who said this, they distort and put it on me. They are in alliance with them. I am astonished that a member, a thinking member, a lady, stands up to say, you're mocking the poor, whereas the person who said that is in alliance with them. I wish we meet.
Please.
I quoted the man. I quoted the person, not my statement.
Please.
I quoted the person.
बैठ.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
आप कुछ भी बोलते हो. बैठिए. आपकी बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है. आप अननेसेसरली अपने को परेशान कर रहे हैं. कोई बात आपकी रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही है. ना आप अलाउड है बोलने के लिए. प्लीज.
Deputy Chairman, sir, in Tamil. Deputy Chairman, sir, in Tamil. Sir, just before I say that Tamil proverb, I want to say that I have responded. Sir, let me finish here.
This is John
John Britas, let me finish. Sir, is this budget debate? Yes, it is. It was a question raised to me about my budget speech, and I'm giving it as a reply during the budget debate speech. Okay? So, let there not be confusion. Everything that I'm speaking here. Oh, please, sir. This is not done, sir.
Please. Not proper.
We've heard every one of the members silently.
That you cannot decide here. That chair will see. Please. No. You are not allowed to speak. It's you are not there. Please, you are not allowed to discuss. आप बैठकर हमेशा पीछे से चिल्लाते हैं. नहीं मैडम, no allowed.
Sir, I would like to tell you, sir.
कोई बात आपकी रिकॉर्ड में नहीं जा रही.
Amar Patnaik ji.
आप बोले.
Amar Patnaik ji. Sir, now that there's a bit of a thing, I would like to go back to saying that one little Tamil proverb and move on. I have not named anybody in this house, but there is a lot of response coming, and therefore there is a proverb which I want to say in Tamil. There are members, Honorable Member Navneeta Krishnan is there, Member Wilson Ji is there. I can see many more members, DMK members. Nunalum Tanvayal Kedum. I have not named anybody, but everyone is shouting, defending somebody else. Who are they defending? Tanvayale Tan Kedum. Nunalum Tanvayal Kedum. If you want a rough translation, sir, during rainy seasons, nobody knows where the frog is. But it goes back. So we get to know it. I have not said anything at all. But when the responses come, it's like the rainy season froze. Sir, Amar Patnaik ji.
Please, Mr. Dani, please.
Yes, I understand, ma'am. I understand that.
Except
I fully understand,
Madam
sir.
Finance Minister's
Of
speech,
course.
nothing is going on record.
For every
Nothing is going
answer,
on record.
sir, for every answer that I'm giving, there was a question from that side. Do I answer questions or not? Sir, I'm talking about Amar Patnaik ji. Amar Patnaik ji's question. For agriculture, he had some questions. The allocation, excuse me?
Please,
Sir,
Mr. John
I
Brittas.
would want John Brittas, the
John
honorable
Brittas, do
member
not
from
disturb like
Kerala,
this. Please,
to
do not do
listen
this.
to people, sir.
The chair will see.
The
Parliamentary
chair will
proceedings are
decide what
there.
is unparliamentary, sir. You will please decide for me. Thank you very much, John Brittas.
You are not interested in the job to
Sir.
see from there. Please sit.
Farmers and agriculture.
Please.
The allocation
Please,
for
please sit
food
down.
processing. The farmers, sir, farmers, everyone wants to know. Everyone wants to know farmers and their matter. I'm giving an answer for the questions raised by Amar Patnaik ji. The allocation for food processing has gone up 90.4%, 90.4% to 2,941.99 crores in 22-23. The allocation for animal husbandry and dairy has grown 26% to 3,918.84 crores. The allocation for fisheries has grown 73.5% to 2,118.47 crores. Sir, wheat procurement, 55% growth in 21-22 versus 2013-14. Comparing 13-14 to 2021, 87% growth in paddy procurement. 2013-14 compared with 2021, oil seeds procurement. Earlier procurement was only wheat and rice. We are procuring even oil seeds. Oil seed procurement have gone up by 204%. Sir, Manoj Jhaji has raised some concerns about Z-shaped recovery. I just want to reply to him to say India's gross domestic product is projected to grow at 9.2% to 147.5 lakh crore for the current financial year ending March 2022, which will be the highest among all large economies. There's no question of a slowdown or a recession. I want to draw that to their attention. I had already mentioned earlier that the difference in the economic survey and the Ministry of Finance report are because of the different sources through which we draw the information, which is also for Sri Manoj Jhaji. Srimati Chaya Verma ji had raised questions on cryptocurrency, sir. I just want to say the act of taxing the cryptocurrencies, I think Honorable Member suggested, is it legitimizing the cryptocurrencies? She asked a question. I just want to say we have taxed the profit emanating from the transactions. I'm not doing anything to legalize it or ban it or not legalize it or anything at this stage. At this stage.
Vinay is from the...
Unbelievable. I'm giving an answer.
You speak.
I'm talking about the reply. Why would Vinay Viswam...
Mr. Vinay,
come on.
we not the proper. Please sit down. Mr. Vinay, please sit down.
I'm not yielding, sir. This is a bit too much.
Let her speak.
Sir, I'm replying to Honorable Member Chaya Verma. By shouting like this, the member's right to get a reply is being denied. The right
Mr. John Brittas,
the right
it's
for
not
a
going
member,
on record.
The
आप
right
सोचिए ना,
of a member to
कोई
get a
बात आपकी रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं
reply
जा
is
रही
being
है।
disrupted. Sir,
आप दोनों डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हैं।
I'm
I will
being
name.
very-
I'll be forced to name. I'll be forced to name. I'll be forced to name. Please. I'll be forced to name. आप बार-बार डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हैं। Please, not allowed. Please, madam, you speak.
Thank you very much, sir.
Speak.
Sir,
आप सब शांत रहें जी।
banning or not banning will come subsequently when the consultations give me inputs. But then,
Please.
but then would you rather have me not tax and allow the profits to be there and then tell me I have not even taken a corrective action? So, legitimate or illegitimate is a different question. But I will tax because it's a sovereign right to tax. I hope Chaya Verma ji, please, is able to hear my reply, or else I'm quite willing to give her when I meet her in person. So I'm very sorry that the member's right to receive a reply is being disrupted by other members, which is really a sad thing. Sir, Anil Desai ji, I don't know if he's here. Anil Desai ji had questions about employment. I've explained that. There is a misconception. And that is, I've already explained, that the 60 lakh is only for the PLI, and there are other schemes through which we are trying to promote more employment in the country, which I've explained, sir. Sir, Anil Desai ji also asked questions about GST collections. I just want to say, for 22-23, talking about the overall investment, 22-23, the allocation is 1 lakh crore to assist the states. He asked about the GST collections and also said, will there be some kind of a support to the states? So on the matter of support to states, I would like to highlight that 1 lakh crore is being given to assist the states in catalyzing overall investments in the economy. I just want to underline the fact that it's being given for 50 years without any interest burden on the states. Sir, and it's not going to affect their FRBM. They can continue to borrow at the rates which have already been given to them. So this is not going to affect them. Sir, then I would like to remind, sir, keeping in mind the states and their difficulties, in November 2021, instead of one installment of the monthly devolution which has to go to the states, I ensured an advance installment is also given even in November. So in place of 47,541 crores which the states would have got by due right in November, I had doubled up, meaning I added one more installment and made it 95,082 crores in November itself. Similarly, sir, to make sure that states get money quickly in their hands, in January also, on January 20th, every month 20th the money goes now. In fact, we are even contemplating changing that to 10th of every month instead of 20th. That itself is a understanding the state's need and taking a step. In January 20th, sir, again, where they were expected to get only 47,541 crores, I doubled it up again, meaning gave one more installment so that they have more money in their hand in advance. 95,000 crores was released even in January. So we are making sure that at every stage we are being a bit more sensitive to states. It is their money, but instead of getting it at that regular installment, I'm uploading and front-loading the installments in time so that states don't suffer. Rajamani Patel ji talked about the remote-controlled policy. He said every one of your policies is all remote-controlled, and said it's being remote-controlled from somewhere. And he also probably mentioned it's been remote-controlled from Nagpur. I just want to say, this is coming from a party which constantly till this day is remote-controlled. There's no democracy in that party. It's being remote-controlled. And even worse, national policies were decided, I'm sorry to say this today, I didn't intend to say. But it was a question during the budget debate, and therefore I'm answering during the budget debate. Is it a budget issue? It is a budget issue because you asked me that question. Sir, national policies were decided at 10 Janpath rather than, and then announced in 7 LKM. Was that remote control or not, sir? Policy decided in 10 Janpath and announced in 7 LKM. And one cannot ever forget the day when one of the general secretaries of the party, that time it was general secretary, tore that in the public, in front of the press. And even worse, sir, the respected Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was within a couple of hours after that going to meet US President. And here, his party's General Secretary tore. Is that remote control? Or what is that? So, sir, I come to my last intervention, sir. I come to my last intervention, sir. Sir? Leader of the opposition, sir.
Please, Leader of Opposition.
हम बजट में उनका भाषण बड़े गंभीरता से सुन रहे हैं, लेकिन इस सदन को भटकाने की कोशिश मत करो। कांग्रेस पार्टी क्या की, कांग्रेस सेक्रेटरी क्या किए, अरे आप अपने बजट में बोलिए, हम सुनेंगे। वो सब, अरे गरीबी 27 करोड़ लोग गरीबी के रेखा के नीचे आ गए, जो ऊपर गए थे, उस पर बोलिए।
थैंक यू माननीय
क्रिप्टो करेंसी आपने एक्सेप्ट किया क्या नहीं, क्योंकि आपके RBI चेयरमैन ने बोला है कि अपने रिस्क पे आप इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हो।
माननीय फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर,
तो ये बात बोलिए, हम सुनने को
रिकॉर्ड पे जाएगी। माननीय LOP, प्लीज, आई हैव अलाउड यू, प्लीज
सर।
माननीय फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर,
थैंक यू वेरी मच डिप्टी चेयरमैन सर।
प्लीज, आपको इजाजत मिल चुकी है माननीय LOP, प्लीज टेक योर सीट, प्लीज। नो, प्लीज, आई हैव द स्पीकर।
Give serious reply. We'll listen. Don't
you have already spoken, sir.
No.
You have already spoken.
कॉमेडी टाइप बोलना ये बंद करो।
Please take. Yes.
Thank the honourable. Sir, I thank the honourable leader of the opposition.
Please.
I thank the leader of the opposition for reminding me that I should answer on budget. Shri Rajamani Patel ji, during the budget discussion, mentioned about it. Should I not reply, sir? I am following his order only. I am following the instruction of the leader of the opposition.
आपकी बात रिकॉर्ड पे जा रही है, कोई और बात रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही।
I'm honestly, he's a very senior politician, has been in decades in politics. He's very respected. I respect him, and I certainly respect the words he's mentioned here, and I'm duly following it. Sir, I come to the last intervention in my speech, sir. This is also very much what came up during the budget discussion. I am not speaking anything from somewhere, a comment mentioned outside, so I would like to have my full time. And I request the indulgence, Deputy Chief Chairman, where I go through the details. So there was this indication by a respected member who's not here, so I'm not taking his name, said, the finance minister is not elected, and so she doesn't know the ground realities. And she should be sent, her party should send her to get elected from the ground, to know the ground realities. So, but coming from a member who's in this house elected, TK today is in the opposition, to think that a member in this house is one less to some other respected members who are elected is a bit too rich, sir. Haven't they, in their time, in Rajya Sabha also had Rajya Sabha members being ministers? Are they suggesting that their ministers were unconnected from the ground? Prime Minister himself was a member of the Rajya Sabha, this great house. And was he disconnected from the ground reality? Is that what is being suggested from by the honorable member who told me that I'm unconnected to the ground? I'm sorry, sir, 10 years being guided by a Prime Minister from this august house. I don't expect a member to suggest that to me. So that is one thing. A few things, sir. We were also told, honorable member also reminded about rural connectivity. I want to tell the honorable member, India's rural internet user base is growing, and it is over 3 times faster, growing 3 times faster, and is quicker and is quickly catching up to surpass the urban user numbers. So this is something which has come out of a Internet Mobile Association of India's report. So while, I'm quoting from the report, sir, while internet users grew by 4% in urban India, reaching 323 million users in 2020, digital adoption continues to be propelled by rural India, registering a 13% growth in internet users over the past year, unquote. So rural India's internet connectivity is also growing. Data consumption through BharatNet optical fiber surpassed 13,000 terabytes till June 2021. This is an increase from 6,000 terabytes in 2020 and 300 to 400 terabytes in July 2019. Rapidity with which it is increasing, sir. I just want to highlight that according to the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, which is a report of August 2021, the total number of internet subscribers increased from 79.5 crores at the end of December 2020 to 82.5 crores at the end of March 2021. So in this budget, of course, I have announced that contract for laying optical fiber in all the villages, the ministers next to me, including remote areas, will be awarded under the BharatNet project through PPP in 22-23 itself, and the completion is expected by 2025. Our vision is that all villages and their residents should get the same access to e-services, communication facilities, and digital resources as urban areas and their residents. So I just want to highlight, and it's also from one of the former economic advisors, saying India, meaning India's growth, talking about it, said Bangladesh will be growing faster than India. This was raised also. Maybe not by any members, but it is a very important conversation in which I think we need to put the facts together and say, sir, we are 10 times bigger, our economy is 10 times bigger than Bangladesh. So if I had to give you a rough calculation, if Bangladesh grew at 10%, sir, and we grew just at 1%, sir, the absolute number that will arrive in terms of growth will be the same. So then to say Bangladesh is at 5.5, whereas you are at 4.1, is not really understanding.
Not allowed, please.
Sir, I want to now address the concern that Honorable Member Ami Yagnik mentioned. Says you have not spent much, you have not given money. I just want to say, sir, countries which have spent big money, whilst we prioritized on Jahan Beach, save lives first, and also immediately after that ensure that they get money for their businesses and so on. I just want to bring in one bit of an information. Advanced economies, sir, relied on large stimuluses. Almost entirely on the demand side measures they relied on, of direct support without paying attention to so much to supply side. That's their priority, they can do it. their outcome today is high inflation. Their outcome today is high inflation. Now, I just want to highlight one observation which an economist, Ruchir Sharma, has made in October 2021 for information for the Honorable Member. Pandemic stimulus, Ruchir Sharma, I'm just quoting him. Pandemic stimulus backfired. India can be thankful it did not go bigger on government spending. 2020. Emerging markets which stimulated most aggressively got no payoff in a faster recovery, owing in part to the downsides of overindulging. India's payoff for moderation was one of the strongest recoveries in emerging market, unquote. So I just wanted to draw the attention of what one approach can give and what the other approach can give. So finally, sir. Finally, sir. Sorry? Yes. I've said that in the budget speech as well, sir. Finally, sir, Honorable Member who's not here now had mentioned and I hope I heard him right. He said he does not see Amrit Kal. The member said he does not say. I'll explain it. The Honorable Member said he does not see Amrit Kal, but instead has been saying Rahu Kal since 2014. Sir, I wasn't sure if I heard him right, if he said Rahu Kal. Sir, I want to say if there was a Rahu Kal, if I heard him right, Rahu Kal. Sir,
please do not interrupt like this, Mr. John Britas. Please
I had mentioned it earlier, sir. That Rahu Kal, I hope I heard him right, that Rahu Kal, which he mentioned actually belongs to the time which some time ago I said, when a sitting Prime Minister brings about a law and it gets torn up scornfully in front of the media, asked before the Prime Minister is about to meet the US President, that is Rahu Kal. I'm being careful. Sir, also, entrenched in the Congress party, where there is an implosion now, Rahu Kal is what produces, I would think, the so-called G23. So Rahu Kal is not now. Rahu Kal is where Congress party is. Ours is Amrit Kal. Ours is Amrit Kal. Rahu Kal was thrown at me. Rahu Kal was thrown at me. Yes, please. Budget. Rahu Kal was mentioned by your member. Please. Sir, senior leaders from the party are leaving their own party and getting out. That is Rahu Kal. That is Rahu Kal, sir. Whereas standing there, budget speech, the question, the allegation. You are sitting there and telling me it is not Amrit Kal. Rahul Kal. Sir, no wonder Congress party, which is facing the Rahul Kal, is getting 44 seats and remaining there and not able to come out. Please. Sir, where Rahu Kal is where Congress party is in fashion, where they go on saying, "Ladki hu, main lad sakti hu." Rajasthan ladkiyan lad nahi sakre. Rajasthan mein lad nahi sakre mahila. Rajasthan mein mahila ka har din kuch na kuch कांड हो रही है. राहु काल उधर है. Sir, budget speech के समय अमृतकाल इस देश का अपमान करने के लिए अमृतकाल को राहुकाल कहने वाला, अभी ये जवाब सुन ले, अभी सुन ले ये जवाब।
Please conclude, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now Honorable Finance Minister's reply on general discussion on budget 2022-23 is over. Now on a special mention, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, please read the title of your special mention. 2022-23 budget discussion is over. After Honorable Minister's reply, you please read the title only. Read the title and lay it. Read the title and lay it, sir.
My name is Subramaniam.
This is Chairman's instruction. Chairman's.
Right.
Please read title
Mr.
and...
Deputy Chairman,
Sir.
I wish to bring to the notice of this House, through you, to the government that this House and the people of India
You
are
please
unaware...
read the title and lay, sir. Please read the title and lay only.
Oh, okay.
Please read.
The title is
Please.
about asking the government, please, to provide the House with a white paper on the recent threats to our national security and territorial integrity from hostile nations across the border.
Right, sir. Please read. Thank you. Thank you. Mani Sri Elaram Karim ji. Yes, sir. Please read.
Yes, sir. Need to take stringent action
Corrected, sir.
on the cartelization by major tire companies in India to increase the price of tires and cheating the rubber farmers.
Thank you, Elamaram ji. माननीय सुजीत कुमार जी, कृपया जो एसोसिएट करें अपना नाम यहाँ भेज दीजिएगा. माननीय सुजीत कुमार जी.
Sir, my special mention is regarding the extension of Howrah Ispat Express to the railway stations in Kalandi district, which is a long pending demand of the people of the district. Honorable Minister is here, so I would request through you to consider this request.
जो भी चाहते हैं, kindly send your name here. माननीय संजय सिंह जी.
जो बढ़ती कीमतें हैं उस पे पूरे देश की चिंता है और मैं चाहूंगा कि सरकार इसकी ओर ध्यान दे. मोबाइल रिचार्ज की बढ़ती कीमतों के संबंध में मेरा स्पेशल मेंशन है.
धन्यवाद. माननीय श्रीमती शांता छेत्री जी.
Thank you, sir.
Please read the title and lay.
Thank you, sir. I am laying the urgent need to release funds for Anganwadi workers and Anganwadi helpers, additional honorarium lying stagnant since 2018, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. माननीय प्रोफेसर मनोज कुमार झा जी.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir. Through you, my special mention is to appeal the government must reverse their decision to shut down the Kashmir Press Club and restore it at the earliest possible to protect press freedom and ensure the safety of the journalists. Thank you, sir.
माननीय श्री अयोध्या रामी रेड्डी जी. माननीय अयोध्या रामी रेड्डी जी. Not present. श्रीमती झरना दास वैद्या जी. Mike. Please.
Ensure severe punishment for public, incitement for sexual abuse of women. I lay in the table my
Thank you.
special mention.
माननीय श्री प्रसन्नाचार्य जी.
Subject of my special mention today is about protection, preservation and development of important historical, cultural and archaeological sites in Western Odisha. I lay my...
Thank you, Mani President. Mani Sadasyagan, our observation. Honorable members, just before we adjourn for a long recess, on behalf of Honorable Chairman, on my own behalf, I would like to express our happiness over the manner in which proceedings of this August House took place during the first part of the budget session. The House has not witnessed any forced adjournments during the entire first part of this budget session, and it functioned nearly half an hour more than the scheduled sitting time. The credit for this goes to every member of this House. As a result, the members could not only participate effectively in the discussion on the motion of thanks to the President address and general discussion on the budget, but also were able to raise 51 start questions, 71 hour submissions, and about 17 zero-hour submissions, and about 50 special mentions. I compliment all sections of this august House for effective functioning of the House in a very positive way during this part of the budget session, and hope that we continue to be guided with the same spirit in the future. The House stands adjourned to meet at 10 hours on Monday, the 14th March 2022. बहुत धन्यवाद. Vanakkam. Memorandum of Business. Papers to be laid on the table. Sri V. Muralidharan to lay all the papers at serial number 1 to 8 under the heading papers to be laid on the table in today's revised list of business.
Respected Deputy Chairman, sir, with your permission, on behalf of my colleagues, Sri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, Sri Krishan Pal ji, Sri Danve Rao Sahib Dada Rao ji, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji, Srimati Anupriya Singh Patel ji, Susri Shobha Karadala ji, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh ji, and Sri Som Prakash ji, I lay on the table of the House the papers listed against their names from serial number 1 to 8 in today's revised list of business.
A statement by Minister Dr. L. Murugan. Vanakkam. Memorandum of Business. Papers to be laid on the table. Sri V. Muralidharan to lay all the papers at serial number 1 to 8 under the heading papers to be laid on the table in today's revised list of business.
Respected Deputy Chairman, sir, with your permission, on behalf of my colleagues, Sri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, Sri Krishan Pal ji, Sri Danve Rao Sahib Dada Rao ji, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji, Srimati Anupriya Singh Patel ji, Susri Shobha Karadala ji, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh ji, and Sri Som Prakash ji, I lay on the table of the House the papers listed against their names from serial number 1 to 8 in today's revised list of business.
A statement by Minister Dr. L. Murugan.
Deputy Chairman, sir, with your kind permission, I raise to make statement regarding status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 22nd report of the department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Agriculture on Demands for Grants 2021-22 pertaining to the Department of Fisheries, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy.
Thank you.
In today's rest of business of Rajya Sabha.
Thank you. Answers to question entered in today's list are laid on the table of the House. Honorable members, there are there are two notices under Rule 267 for suspension of rules. Honorable Sri John Brittus, CPIM, alleged comments of UP Chief Minister against federalism and secularism. Sri Sanjay Singh Aap alleged non-compliance of COVID-19 protocols in the last rites of diseased Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. माननीय चेयरमैन साहब ने इसको अलाउ नहीं किया, इसलिए इसको हम लोग टेकअप नहीं करें. Please, no, not. Ravindra Kumar, Kanak Medla Ravindra Kumar, your speech that will go on only record. Nothing else is going on record. Kanak Medla Ravindra Kumar ji, आपकी बात सिर्फ वही रिकॉर्ड पे जा रही है. रिकॉर्ड पे नहीं जा रही.
Outline the strategy, steeply increasing capital expenditure for quickly reviving the economy.
We will go on record except Kanak Medla Ravindra Kumar ji's
more
speech.
Private investment and to create more jobs. The budget has certain shortcomings. Despite the motive trauma, attendant lessons, allocation for health is not encouraging. Allocation for the important sector has almost remained the same. That is education. If generation of only 60 lakh jobs over next 5 years is disturbing. However, the budget disappoints.
No point of order. आप हल्ला करेंगे. Point of no point of order. आप हल्ला करते रहेंगे. Point of order मांगे. It's not
on 8th February has stated that AP has been suffering for the last 80 years, further to bifurcation due to the injustice caused by the Congress government and by passing AP Reorganization Act 2014 in a hurried manner. It is now time to
Let him
justice
finish his speech.
to my state, irrespective of political considerations. Our demand for special category status needs serious consideration. Capital Amravati project, for which
Let him
Honorable
finish his
Prime
speech. He is
Minister
not
laid the
considering.
foundation,
I'll come to you.
needs to be
No,
saved
let him
and
finish.
supported. Since the present YSRCP government abandoned and created uncertainty till today, Amravati farmers have been agitating for the last 787 days. Required levels of allocations projects mentioned in the AP Reorganization Act should be made, including Polavaram. Out of 10 years, 8 years has already lapsed. Only 2 years left. The Honorable Finance Minister also emphasized the need for transparent financial management. In this context, I would like to share that whatever is happening in my state of AP is contrary to this vision outlined for the country in the budget. Based on the information given by the central state governments and the CAG, the YSRCP government borrowed much more in the last 2.5 years than by the TDP government in 5 years. While the total debt is the state accumulated till May 2019, total is 2,02,543, whereas total debt since 1956 to 31/3/2019 for a period of 63 years, 3,14,495 only. But the present total debt, the outstanding guarantees are 1,53,134. Total outstanding debt is 4,15,080, and debts payable to the contractor 79,000 crores, and to the electrical discounts is 25,000 crores. At present, total debt is approximately 6,72,214 crores. Indiscriminate borrowing are being raised to dispute the flow of resources from create, almost doubling to 86,865 crores during 21-22 from 44,234 in 2018-19. As per the CAG, revenue deficit for 1920 was a huge 1486 of the estimate. For the current financial year, it was 40,829 crore for the 7 months period of April-October 2021, as against budget provisions only 5,000 crore in the full financial year. It reveals excess expenditure of 816. The principal amount in a letter, the principal accountant general in letter dated 4/5/21, the state government objected the withdrawal of 41,043 and bypassing the treasury and units violations. CAG has also notified that the mobilization of loans also exceeded the budget. AP government has amended FRBM Act, increased the limit of providing guarantees 90 to 180%. The latest evidence is in the crisis, AP government has raised 2,000 crores that was appropriated by the RBI for the earlier loans. The Honorable Minister, Finance Minister Bhagat Karade, during his visit to Vijayawada on Sunday, stated in the public that there is no financial discipline on the part of the state government. The newly formed AP State Development Corporation has raised loans for 25,000 crores, escrowing the future revenues from the sale of liquor for a period of 25 years. This was done despite of the CM promising the prohibit liquor sale gradually. Unfortunately, the state is in the verge of disaster. The state is mortgaged. Government lands and properties and even capital of Amravati are up for sale. The future of the people of the state is gloomy, and the state is being steered in a reverse direction. I demand an appropriate inquiry into indiscriminate borrowings, violation of the stipulated provisions, and mismanagement of finances by the AP government to ensure the steady and equitable economic growth that benefits the poor, weaker sections, youth and women. Mismanagement of finances of the state malgovernance by the YSRCP government has come to threaten the sustainability of the welfare schemes meant for the poor and weaker sections, and this need averted by all means. This warrant immediate intervention by the centre and conduct an appropriate inquiry. That, sir, loans to a tune of ₹80,000 are being based on every year, which more than twice for the permitted level. As per the CAG, revenue deficit is 1920 is more than the earlier period. The Principal Accountant General and also Government of India Economic Affairs Department sent a letter dated 17/11/22 AP government in respect of AP rural road projects, AP roads, bridges and reconstruction project, AP Mandal connectivity and rural connectivity improvement project. The request of the front leading of loading of loan amount is not agreed to state. It has timely released the proportionate state share throughout the project execution.
The Honorable CM of our state also requested the Honorable PM on 3/1/22 restore the borrowing ceiling of the state for the financial year 2021 to a tune of rupees 42,472 crores. All railway projects, all railway projects to major corridors in AP and also proposed highways and ring roads due to non-cooperation of the state government are stopped abruptly, and the state of AP did not deposit its share in respect of all projects. Majority centrally sponsored scheme funds also diverted, including NREGA, and no activity is going on in respect of the development. And day in, day out, the Andhra Pradesh government for searching for the loans to run the government, and the government is not able to pay the salaries to the employees and the pensions in time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. John Littus. Sir, under rule?
Yeah, 267. Sir, this is a House of State which has to discuss about the issues concerning the federal
Just wait.
Country. Sir,
your motion not drawn in proper terms, Chairman has not allowed. Your motion, not drawn in proper terms, Chairman has not allowed it. Chairman has not allowed it. Mr. K.C. Ramurthy. Mr. K.C. Ram on general budget. Mr. K.C. Ramurthy.
To speak on the people-friendly, progressive and forward-looking budget presented by Honorable Finance Minister, sir. So it is not only forward-looking, but it is Atmanirbhar Bharat budget which brings with it new energy, strength and push our developing trajectory. So when I say people-friendly budget, it means the budget is for common people. I say progressive budget because there are schemes for every sector. One can very easily see this if one reads the budget with an open mind. I say it is forward-looking as the achievable targets fixed, keeping in mind our country's growth for the next couple of years. So here I would like to mention with what objectives our budgets are formulated over years. So in the pre-New India and the present New India, there is a fundamental difference in economic thought. These differences are reflected in all previous governments and the budgets presented before Sri Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister. So from 1948, the thought was socialistic pattern of society, and after 8 years, 1956, it was replaced as democratic socialism, and after a decade, it was innovated as welfare state, and after a few years, the slogan Garibi Hatao came into existence. So after this, the change in narratives continued till recently, highlighting right-wing philosophy or left-wing philosophy. So Sri Narendra Modi's biggest economic vision is ending this narrative and resurrecting pro-people economic policy and budget beyond the left and right dichotomy. Whenever and whatever good to the people that ends in socio-economic empowerment of different sectors of society has become the main vision of the government. The economic fundamentalism is what I call Semitic thought in right and left propaganda. Right say priority should be given to the private sector, and left say public sector is the priority. For Modi ji and our government, it is the people sector that matters, not left or right. Whatever is good for the country and its people is reflected in the budget and not what left and right profess. So Modi ji ended the colonial hangover on the budget from 20th February, which was colonial inheritance that was blindly followed by the subsequent governments to 1st February, which is more practical and in tune with our accounting standards. So what is experienced now is a tremendous increase in the horizon and participation in budget preparation. Earlier, the marginalized classes were treated as clients, but now they are treated as stakeholders and are extensively consulted. The earlier budgets before 2014 carried the colonial mindset and Western thought process, and our budgets truly reflect the Republican and Indian spirit, sir. So a lot has been said about PM Gati Shakti. I don't wish to repeat the points which have been extensively discussed by my esteemed friends, but I only say that 7 drivers or engines of Gati Shakti are like 7 horses that Lord Surya has for his chariot, which symbolizes warmth and life. As they move across, they remove darkness and usher in light. Not just this, 7 horses also symbolize 7 colors of rainbow. Similarly, 7 engines of Gati Shakti, roads, railways, airports, ports, mass transport, waterways and logistics infrastructure, usher in a new horizon of integrated and transformative approach for economic growth, sustainable development and full economy in unison. So these engines are complemented by energy transmission, IT, water and sewage and social infrastructure. So this coordinated approach with the reins of the horses firmly in the hands of Honorable Prime Minister it will certainly drive the country to reach new horizons in development. So, COVID has crippled every single economy and every single country of the world, and India is no exception. Right from US with 7.6 crore cases at top to Tonga and Micronesia at the bottom, left none and engulfed all. The resonance shown by every Indian under the leadership of beloved Prime Minister Shri Modi ji guided the country right through the pandemic, be it relating to vaccination or providing free food grains to poor and migrant labor by incurring more than 2.5 lakh crores, or providing impetus to every single sector, be it through Atmanirbhar package, monetary or fiscal measures, or COVID diplomacy. Sir, not a single country in the world, including the most developed country like US, has taken up supplying free food grains to poor on such mammoth scale as we did. So, Honorable Prime Minister, under Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, first, second, third, and fourth and fifth phase, has so far given more than 700 lakh metric tons and has incurred an expenditure of 2.65 lakh crores. I don't think such massive help to poor in the form of supplying food grains free of cost